Hey, Austin here, and I've had time off on holiday. I've had some work on, other work other than YouTube, obviously, and I've had a bit of time off sick. I'm still actually off sick at the moment, but I'm finishing this video because I promised from the week of the 16th I was going to have this video up. So hopefully this will be up by Wednesday at the latest. But yeah, so EK water block install done. The loop is done. It's finished. This is the video. Thank you for those that have commented on the water block for the GPU install. For those of you that one of you especially that said, you know, you put one of the pads in the wrong place. You're absolutely right. When I did the second GPU, it was right. I went through the instructions again and I moved it, so that is done. So thanks for that one, and be assured that that's in the right place now. Also, for those of you that are saying about the thermal paste, I knew that you would, and I called it, you know, but I put it in the way that they should, with the feeling that I don't have in my right hand. I've probably put a little bit too much on, which one of you also said would probably cause me to have bad thermals. To be honest, the loop has been installed now for a good 2 weeks, 3 weeks. It's been running fine. I've had no problems with thermals. In fact, I've had 25 degrees and some points more on the GPUs and on the CPU, less than I had with just the fans. So although I still have airflow in the case, which we'll go through later on, this is the video install. Some of the video was damaged, unfortunately. I was recording with my cameras using a Mac and the files were too big, and the Mac decided to flit out. So you know, I won't be doing that again. So I've now got a camera which I'll be doing any external videos with, which I'm sure I will do an office gaming room studio tour thing, which I'll use an external video for, so that you can see everything properly. Video, camera, you know what I meant. So here's the video, here's the install, with all the bits that I could salvage from the bad video. So enjoy. Yes, the video angle has changed. The lighting is almost non-existent, and I have a spot right here, probably from a horsefly bite that I have received. But all of that aside, this is the beginning of the EK water block install, the loop I'm doing. So if you missed the video on installing the EK water block onto the GTX 1080 Ti, the from VGA, that will be linked down below, so you can have a look at that. I'm sure it will be on the side panel, one or the other anyway, as well. So yeah, I'm now recording this on the Mac because my computer is going to be unplugged, and we're going to take it down to the workshop or the man cave, and yeah, I'll just give you a little look around in there, and then we'll get straight on with the video. So I'm going to edit out all the bad bits, the times of thinking, just so you can actually see how it all goes together. So, well, welcome to the man cave workshop. This is where I'm going to do my water loop. Obviously, no one's seen this before, but so what I'll do, I'll just give you a quick spin around. You know, I do apologise for the shakiness of the camera. So over here is just where I store all different sorts of bits, PCs, screens, etc. I've got all sorts of LEDs and all sorts of stuff. The water block is in that box over there, all of the lube, tools, etc. Workbench and test screens. Over here in that cupboard there's more tools. Freezer is outside, and there's my bike. And then another workbench. There's a Wii over there that's fixed and kind of ready to go. Assortments of cables, and again obviously another screen because it's a test bench. And then over here on this test bench, I'm fixing up another computer. That's the little project I'm working on called the Integra Drive, basically an emulator PC. Got another screen that I'm fixing there. More tools, of course. More PCs because there's stuff going on and being fixed. Electrical test gear, and obviously that's the computer. That's the Mac that I'm going from. So I'm using MacBook Pro, late 2015 model, and the Logitech C922 webcam. And yeah, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to set up a table in the middle here, nice flatbed table, rather than using the workbenches because you know, bigger table, it just means I've got more surface area to turn it around, and I can just sit there and I can get going. So yeah. This is going to be interesting, going to be fun, and ever so slightly scary. So I tried to do what they were saying, and EK suggests and absolutely says it's mandatory that these little washers, which there's 4, are used between the pegs, the large standoffs, and the motherboard. Well, if I tried to use it, I couldn't get the screws in. The screws wouldn't go in because the shorter stubby parts of them are not long enough. So, and maybe that's just because I've got weak hands after my carpal tunnel surgery. Maybe I just can't push it hard enough. But it looks safe enough. It's not touching or touching any contacts. So I am going to go ahead. Now, so here we go. Here comes the bit that everybody loves to whinge about. Thermal paste. So I am again using the Arctic MX4. Got plenty of this left after doing the water blocks for the GPUs. So they suggest and recommend the blob method. Now I'm absolutely up for that because as I had took off the Corsair H100i, that's what I use for that, and I've had no problems. Some of you might be thinking, well, if you had no problems, why are you going to a full loop system? Because I can. Okay, so we are at a point of turning it on and filling it. Okay, so yes, this is going to be interesting. So let's bring the camera over so you can see where we're at. Okay, so you can see, so here's the water pump and reservoir. It's only small reds, but so what happens is, so we'll start from the output. Now the output goes to the video card first, but as you can see, there is a splitter here. One goes off to the video card, the other one comes down here. So out, comes to here, and comes to this tap. This tap is for drainage. Again, I'm going to shout out to Jay's 2 cents. Thank you very much for your very informative videos in saying that this is a must. Now, if he sees this, he may go, yeah, well, you don't want it there in the front of your coach. You might be better off putting it in the back. Aesthetically, yes, but this is the side I open the most, so that's currently off. So we've got the tap so you can get well out of the way and, you know, drain that out. So that is obviously going to just sit down in there nicely. Obviously there'll be liquid will go up to here. So although there's an LED strip along here, so whatever colour that is, obviously there's red liquid in here, but obviously it could, you know, the red will sort of glow. I haven't seen what this red looks like, so we'll see. So anyway, so coming back to the loop, it'll come out, go around, into the graphics card, so through here and then into the graphics card. Then it'll come up through here, so come out the graphics card behind here, up into here. It won't be able to escape there, hopefully. Then it'll go into the graphics card, up there, do all its thing, and then it'll come out here. And then it will go up into radiator number 1. Then when it comes out of the radiator, it will go into the water block that's on the motherboard for the VRMs and everything like that, or whatever those are. I don't really know what they are. But there's a copper plate underneath that. It's already supported by EK. You can see their logo on there. So it'll come out of the first radiator into the block, go through the block, around, and then out of here into the CPU, and then come out of the CPU into the radiator number 2, do its thing, and then come back down, back into the reservoir. With that said, I think it's time to start trying to fill it. Now what I've got is some, it's normally paper towels, but I've got some tissues here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put this camera up here. There we go, something like that. And then I'm going to place these at varying points around, especially around and below fittings, because then if there's any leaks, we should catch them early. I don't know what I'm going to do about them. If they leak, I'm not exactly sure what I'm going to do about it, but there you go. This one here, I will put it on one anyway, but I'll just put it outside of the box like that. So, technically, if there are any main leaks, this is where they're going to happen. Hopefully I've got no splits in any things like the reservoir. Hopefully all of these will be okay. So we need one. So we've got one underneath the CPU block, under the motherboard block. This one here I'll put under here because obviously we've got these ones here, so they might decide to get drippy, which we don't want. So that should catch anything that's coming there. That should catch the reservoir and the top of the res, and that should catch those there. Now, the next thing to do, which is vitally important, because you do not want to turn this on via the motherboard being plugged in. Now, it's not in at the moment, so what EK have is one of these, which is the 24-pin connector with the pin shorted out, so that you can turn it on without the motherboard. So obviously to use this, you need to unplug your 24 pin from your motherboard, which I have not ever had to do since I installed this, so need to find the catches, which should be behind there. Oh, wowzers. That is really in there. I mean, that's good. I mean, for me, that just shows quality. Right, so obviously now this goes in and replaces your motherboard. There we go. So now that will turn on without turning on the motherboard or anything else via the main switch. And this is so that you can fill the reservoir. Now, you just obviously, this is a small reservoir, so this is going to be this process is going to take some time. So that's all done well. And obviously, because of the size of the reservoir and its positioning, I'm glad I got one of these with a little straw, so I can fill it up. Okay, so yeah, we had a couple of leaks, without doubt. Yeah, right. I think I've said to you before, I think I might have mentioned before that I have problems with my wrists. I'm sure I've mentioned it more than a few times, and you're going, "Oh, Austin, why are you mentioning that yet again?" Well, let's have a look. It's dry. So the real problem, to be honest, is these angled fittings. I don't like them. So there is a little kind of lock there, but now the air bubbles are out, it seems to be okay now. So what I've been doing, anyway, so I was saying about my wrist. Yeah, what I did, and you're all going to go, "Rah!" and you're going to troll me, you're going to take the mick, whatever, I don't care. On the block, because you probably noticed that there's a clear block there now. On the block, this is fine. I've been trying all sorts of things with the O-rings, why I had the leak, why it was leaking so much. Well, you notice now there is a clear acrylic block on there now. Yes, that's the difference. I over-tightened them and I cracked the block. That's why it was leaking. The acrylic part, you do them up too tight, they warn you about stripping the threads on the screws or of where it goes into the acrylic. That's not the thing to worry about. The thing to worry about is over tightening them so much. The threads are brilliant. Unfortunately, they're not the first thing to break. What I did is I over tightened them so much that I basically split the block, the acrylic part of the block, both of them. So I had to put it a bit on hold. So here you go. Here's the old block, and you can probably, if it focuses there. Now you can probably see, especially here, you can see this. You can see where the screw. Yeah, try and get that at the right angle. Right. Even though it's not in focus very well. This is the screw for one of the blocks, for this block. And you'll notice, there you go, you can see a horizontal line a few mil down, and that is on all three screws, on both cards. And these are €129 each for the GTX 1080 Ti. And basically it looks like I've cracked them, because the lack of feeling I have in my hands, I've cracked them. So obviously I got a hold of EK, and they've sent me more. And I asked for, while I was in it, I asked for the clear acrylic block terminal for the joining the cards together. So I've spent the last few minutes turning it on and off. The other thing I managed to ask for was the little a little adapter there, which plugs into a SATA cable, which I've got there for me to power the pump, and I put that there on purpose just in case. I actually put it there for LEDs or something like that, but considering I've got them running off the motherboard, I should be alright. So the pump is currently running with the little adapter up on the, I'll move that, with the adapter up here on the 24 pin block. So I'm going to move that in so you can see it. So you've got the adapter there, the white adapter for the 24 pin, and then here you've got a spare SATA power cable to this, which they do sell, so I asked them to get me one of those in as well to make it easier, because obviously last time I was using a computer powered up to fill it. But anyway, so yes, we have had a few minor leaks, but they seem to be edging themselves out as the bubbles go. So I'm going to remove this light, which is going to make it a little bit dark for you, but not by much. So what I've actually been doing is there's been some airlocks in there, some air bubbles, air pockets. So what I'm actually doing is I haven't got a fill pot on the top of the reservoir, so it's open. But obviously that was above the EK logo in that block. So what I'm actually doing is I'm tilting the PC as much as I can before the liquid decides it wants to pour out of it, like a cup of tea. Then pour it out, because I'm English, so a cup of tea. And then bringing it back again. The main one was in the CPU block. Hopefully you'll be able to see this if I move you in. So that fluid was not, in the top right, was not going around that fully. So, and there's actually, again, there is another bubble on the top right of that, which some of you may be seeing. So I found for the CPU block, the best tilt to get that out was this one, because then it travels as close to the out pipe as possible. But I might have to turn it off and back on again to get a bit of a shunt on that one, because it doesn't want to come out. So there are still little air pockets I'm just trying to get rid of, because the thing you've got to think of, where there's air, there's a very big possibility that something of yours is not being cooled efficiently, and then you end up with overheating, which we do not want. So we've got as much air out of it as we're going to get out of it just by moving it around and stuff. Leaks have stopped. I've also done that little mod on the lower bracket, so we wouldn't have got that on. So as you can see, I've just literally just cut the top section out of it even more now than I have. So now it looks a lot better because both of them are on there. So you know, it's just on the bottom of that logo, so that's no major issue. So yeah, I'm happy with that. We've topped up the reservoir. Everything is plugged in now. The only thing to do now is, so what I've done is I've taken off the other tube and I've capped off the end of the tap with an EK plug, and then that, which is in the off position, will literally sit itself there. And there's LEDs behind there as well, so you probably can't even see those, but there are LEDs under here. So, and they're usually going to be in blue, so that will glow. Whether any of it will travel up through the pipe or not, I don't know. But that's just something else for another time. So that's everything. I'm going to just cable tie up the back, make sure that's all good. We plug the SATA back in there. We're going to plug the 24 pin back in just a sec. And then I've got my little extra pump checker there. And the pump is now plugged into the motherboard. So one thing I did notice is that down the bottom here there's a little switch which you can't see. A little switch just there. So that little plug that you can see on the right there, that is the out of those plugs. You see the right hand is all the motherboard stuff. Then you've got an M.2. This is from right to left. Then you've got the pump power, which is the actual pump header. Then you've got a slow mode button, which was in the on position, and default, I just had to check in the manual, limits the CPU. So we don't want to do that. That'll probably why my overclocking that I've been doing hasn't been very good. It was in the on position. So anyway, so what we're going to do, we're going to cable tie up the back, make sure the cables are as managed as they're going to be, and then I'm going to take this upstairs, and then, well, then we're going to turn it on. Sweet. Okay, here we are down at the computer, so I have to excuse the crudity of this. I'm going to use a drumstick as a pointer, because it can get in places that my hand can't. So here we go. This is the Enforcer. That's what I've called it, due to the blue and red theme that I've got going on. I'll probably have to change this to blue. There's some other blue LEDs in there, blue on the motherboard, etc. And I have blue around the room, which you'll see more of when it comes to the studio actual tour. So what I'm going to do is just take you on a tour of the inside of this, show you the loop, show you how it's working. So I may well move the camera. But what I'll do is just an overview. I've got 6 fans in this system, 2 on radiators, 2 as exhaust. So I'll show you the direction of everything that's coming in. So up on the top here, the first of the 6 fans, just probably worth saying that they are all Corsair ML Pro LED fans. So they're the maglev fans. So you don't get any of that coil whine with these, which is really good. Obviously you'll get fan speeds when they ramp up, etc. Which I don't have a huge problem with fan noise, to be honest, because I usually have them quite loud or have headphones on anyway. So as far as I'm concerned, if it's keeping the thermals down, then I'm happy. But like I say, for those of you that one of you that said obviously about the thermals being quite high because of the amount of paste I put on, I've got really, really good low thermals from this system and the way that I've had it. And the way that I've actually done it is I have separated where the radiators and components work together. So, but you'll see that as I do a run through. So what I've got at the top here anyway is I've got my first 240mm radiator with 2 120 fans in it, and that's pulling into the system. So pulling past the radiator into the system. So obviously heat will gain up here, but I've got a 140 fan here, 140mm fan here, which is taking that hot air out. So it's coming in, going out. On the front here, I've got 2 140mm fans again on a 280 rad. It's a little bit thicker, this radiator, and that one is also pulling in past the rad, or it's more probably pushing, you would say, past the rad. So obviously heat will build up here, but obviously some of that heat from the top fan will go out that way, and what's here can go out through the 120mm that I have in the bottom, which is exhausting out. Now I have got this on the floor, yes, you probably rightly say, but it's not on carpet. It's actually on a shelf which I've placed on the floor, and it's the exact footprint dimensions of this case, which is the Obsidian 750D. So it's absolutely perfect. So there we go. That's a quick overview. So let's go through the direction of everything that's happening here. So obviously you saw in the install that down the bottom here I've put a tap for maintenance. So we've got the UK tap, it's been capped off, and you've got the tap. So all I have to do is I've got another fitting with an extra piece of pipe, which I just undo that, fit to the end when I'm ready. But other than that, that just sits with liquid in it, obviously, just sits on the bottom and reflects light upwards through that pipe that's going through. So what we actually have here, we have the reservoir. As you can see, there's a little bit of a gap, a little bit of an air gap there now, so I can actually fill that up where I've been getting all the air pockets out. And it's taken a couple of weeks to really get all the air pockets out properly, because it just keeps on moving. But now we're at the point where there are no air pockets at all. So obviously you're not going to have any possible clumps of air in there that are going to, any airlocks that will stop the liquid from moving properly, so therefore not dissipating the heat properly. So here we go. So from the reservoir and pump, which is a combo, the liquid comes out of here, goes around and into the first GPU, which is the lower GPU, which is actually the secondary GPU, as it happens. So therefore, it's not going to be, although it's going to cool down, it's not going to be as hot when it gets up to here. I could have gone into that first, but it just made sense to do it this way round. So comes around into the first GPU, second GPU, into and goes around that, and then comes out, goes up, and then into the primary GPU up here, and then that comes out of this pipe. So I'm going to move the camera now. So for those of you that get sick, here we go. I'll try and watch what I'm doing. So let's just see that again. So yeah, so coming up and around into the first GPU, around through the block, up the block, you can see the tube there, into the second GPU or first GPU, goes around, then comes out of here, and then goes up straight into the first radiator. And the reason why I've done it this way, now Jay's 2 cents and others, especially Jay, who is really, when it comes to water loops, has really been my inspiration to finally pull the trigger and do this. So again, thanks Jay, really appreciate you. He on one of his videos, one of his more recent videos, he said it doesn't matter if you have radiators together, if you separate them, having them like then that one straight into the next one. He said it doesn't matter, and I agree, it probably doesn't matter. He's probably done so many tests over the last 10 or so years that he knows that he's done it. It makes no difference. But the way I was thinking, if we're coming out of the two GPUs and then going straight into, say, the motherboard, then there's obviously going to be heat from this going into the motherboard, therefore just carrying off heat. So what I decided to do was come out of the GPUs into the first radiator, and then come out of that radiator, come down. You can just about see, if I move to there, you can see that pipe. So that pipe there, I'm wiggling, comes out of the radiator into the motherboard, because this is the Maximus 9 Formula motherboard, which has an EK water block over the chokes, the motherboard chokes and VRMs. So it comes out, goes into that, goes around the L shape, and then as you can see, comes out of there, then into the CPU block. And then that comes out of the CPU block into the second radiator, which is the 240. And then comes out of that radiator back into the reservoir. So that's the way I've looped it. I just thought, if what's coming out of the GPUs gets cooled down, then so what's going into the motherboard and the CPU is then a little bit cooler than it would have been had it been all together, clumped together. And then obviously it gains a bit more heat again once it's done motherboard and motherboard and CPU, and then goes into the next rad before it comes down back into the reservoir pump. So one of the things that you can see is that I've removed this hard drive tray here, and I've actually mounted this hard drive to the floor of the case, and it's not just left there, it is actually screwed in, and it did just about fit, because I had to do a bit of modding of the case to get this radiator in. I'm not quite sure why. I think in the end though I figured out I put one screw in the wrong place and it mucked up my whole thing. So there you go. And there you have it. That's the system. It works really well. So I'm not going to do graphs of thermals and stuff like that, but I may do some just some videos of some benchmarks just with screenshots, screen captures, just so you can see what's going on. Whether they'll be on this video or another one, I don't know yet. I haven't made up my mind. So, but anyway, thanks for watching. I'm sure you're going to comment below. Please subscribe if you haven't already, and hit the like button. Go on. It's just one little click. Do that for me. But anyway, so I'll catch you later for nerding out. Take care.